the honorable and upstanding captain of the Silvermane Guards, who bears the noble Landau family name. In the frost-whipped city of Belobog, life can still go on in normality. This is in no small part thanks to Gepard and his Silvermane Guards who protect the peace of everyday life. The young captain stands atop the northern rampart. He surveys the pale wastelands before him and watches the strange beings from the fragmentum forming a broiling swarm in the distance amid the snow. He sees the fearless Silvermane Guards lining up in formation to guard the city like a defensive parapet. That was his original position. Back when he was still a humble private, he'd sworn to serve as Belobog's strongest shield and pledged to live and die with his comrades. This hasn't changed when he became a captain. This isn't some fireside joke of the Silvermane Guards, because Qlipoth is testimony to this oath. However, right at this time, he isn't where he should be, and this is at the request of the Supreme Guardian. What exactly is the Supreme Guardian thinking? The young captain has no idea, but he soon forces himself to focus on the conflict at hand. Remember, Gepard Landau, doubt breeds arrogance, and doubt breeds evil. As a model for Belobog, you shouldn't overthink. The young captain stands atop the northern rampart. After the most epic of battles, the few surviving Silvermane Guards made their way back to Belobog. The Supreme Guardian ordered an immediate parade to celebrate this hard-earned victory. For more than 3 days and nights, the whole city reveled in a carnival with great laughter and joy. The celebration reached its climax at an awards ceremony for the Silvermane Guards. Under the watchful gaze of the crowds, the Supreme Guardian presented an award to the greatest soldiers for outstanding military service. This young captain from a noble house quietly puts on the armor forged out of geomarrow, light, flexible, and strong, while radiating a light reminiscent of Aurora's. That's the only impression he had of this treasure. How many of his comrades' lives had been exchanged for such a glorious medal? He forces himself not to think about it. For now, he could only meet the expectations of the Supreme Guardian and all of Belobog with a smile, because that is what a loyal soldier must do. The moment the captain finishes putting on the armor, a brilliant beam of light shoots out from the joints between the plates. The crowd erupts into a spontaneous and prolonged applause. Nobody sees the weary faces beneath the helmets of those Silvermane Guards. They merely thought this is a triumphant victory. The Supreme Guardian made the correct choice. After the war, many residents of Belobog could finally let out a sigh of relief and pick up the pieces of their simple lives. However, not even the captain himself could have imagined that after this facade for peace, they would face an even more tragic all-out war. Without outside help, this protracted war would usher in the demise of all Belobog. Right now, he's checking whether his shield, Earthwork, is still functioning as before. This heavy force field device was handcrafted by his sister out of an instrument case, and if anything is broken, the poor captain would have to rely on his rock star of a sister to help fix it.
Gepard, and I do mean if,
he thinks back to her words.
If one day, the Supreme Guardian orders you to abandon the people of Belobog to complete some goal of hers, what would you do?
She would never do that. She is the Supreme Guardian. He was resolute.
I'm speaking hypothetically.
She looked at him. I'm not sure why you're asking, but I've pledged an oath of preservation to Qlipoth. I will protect Belobog and her people at any cost, including my own life, of course. If one day, protecting the people means disobeying the Supreme Guardian's orders, and if either choice would land me in danger, then I'd still choose the former, because that is what I'm supposed to do. They both fell silent, before she laughed out loud.
Gepard. Oh, Gepard. You really are a Landau, aren't you?
The young captain stands atop the northern rampart. He glances out the corner of his eye at the esteemed guardian. He sees her head held high as she gazes into the blizzard, as if nothing in the city below had anything to do with her. Her people cannot make her happy or angry, sad or scared. There's only emptiness in those eyes. What exactly is the Supreme Guardian thinking? The young captain racks his brain, but could not find any answer. The cacophony of elegant bagpipes exploded in the air to signify the beginning of the assault, instantly shredding the snow curtain, and those brave warriors in blue uniforms responded to the call, lifting up their halberds one after the other and pointing the tips at the swarming hordes of alien monsters. Beneath the cover of artillery, they commenced their charge to death. Gepard Landau. What should you think about this? The young captain racks his brain. Remember, Gepard Landau, you will defend Belobog and her people at any cost. You will never let down the people you're supposed to protect. Never bring the Landau name into shame. This time, the young captain finally finds his answer as he strides out towards the battlefield.
If you want to cry after you're lost, Gepard, then cry. But you need to stand back up even when you're crying, until you defeat me. Even if it takes years.
A few years later, the boy no longer cried or lost to his sister. Now, on the battlefield, the courageous Silvermane Guard captain will defend till the end, no matter what, all to find the moment to completely destroy the enemy.